Welcome to the Shekina Meditation Podcast, created by Shekina community members. Shekina communities are dedicated to creating free devotional spaces of Christian practice for spiritual seekers and travelers around the world. We post Christ-centered guided meditation each week to help you in your personal or small group practice. You can find episode show notes and other information at shekinacommunity.com. Hi there, this is Ray. It's episode 70 of the podcast, Friday the 24th of April as I record this. So I pre-recorded a lot of episodes before we headed off on our break, and during that time, so much happened around the world. Coronavirus, COVID-19 got a lot more widespread than I think anybody really expected, and things changed very swiftly. We ended up, we were going to go to Vietnam with my parents for the smoky season here in Pai. We ended up canceling those plans last minute as things shifted, even ahead of March 10th, things shifted in Vietnam, and they started isolating and quarantining people who flew in. So we decided to stay in Thailand. And I'm very thankful we did that because a lot of our friends have been shut out of Thailand now as they're away. And Thailand has closed its borders. So we are still scattered as a community. Ro and Neil are the closest to us, but they got blocked from coming into Mae Hong Son province where we live. And so they are waiting out the rest of April in Chiang Mai. And other community members are overseas or in different places in their own lockdowns. And so it feels a little odd to be away from each other during this time. And then also, since we're social distancing, it also feels like, we would be away from each other anyway right now. So we, at the moment, are still on break, actually on our regular scheduled break at Shekina Garden, and for the hot and smoky season. And so, in some ways, this hasn't interrupted too much of our regular Shekina life, at least here in Pai. But in other ways, it's interrupted a lot with schools and with closed and with all of those things and with just the normal social gatherings that we have. So we are waiting to see what will be possible in the weeks ahead, what the country declares to be the right thing, whether borders open up, and how we can best serve our community here. So my heart for you is that you would stay well and stay safe, and that you would find a place of peace and a place to concentrate on the goodness and, what's offered each day. I think that has been such a good focus and meditation for me as I've been going through these past weeks. And my family was in quarantine fully for 14 days when we came back to Pai, inside our gates, not able to leave. And I know I found a lot of solace just in being in each day. I'm finding that a little bit more difficult now, just as time goes on and things are confusing, and I don't know how much to open up or how much to expend outside of our family. It's just confusing. It's not something we've done before. So finding breaks for meditation and for being close to the Spirit is really good. So listeners, this podcast is supported by you. Because this podcast is about meditation, we want to keep it ad-free. Our beloved patrons at patreon.com support us for as little as $1 a month. Patrons get extra audio, they get our love and our thankfulness and other things like that. You can find us at patreon.com/Shekina Meditation Podcast. And I want to say thanks to DJ, who's our new patron, and thanks to Becky for upping her pledge. Thank you guys so much for being on there and supporting us the way you have. Another way you can support us is by rating or reviewing us on iTunes. You can email the podcast to a friend. You can put it in your window and sing a song about it. That would be amazing. It helps to keep us running, our communities running and free for travelers and spiritual seekers, and helps us know that you appreciate what we're doing and putting this podcast into the world. Patrons, you are the best. You are like a breeze with the promise of rain. It is very hot and very dry where we are. There's still a lot of smoke in the air. It looks a little bit better, but our AQI is still off the charts. This morning was over 500. Sorry, not over 500, over 400, which is in the hazardous range still. And so we are waiting for rain, looking forward to it with all our hearts. So you're like that breeze that brings the promise of rain. That's what you're like. Today's episode is the last episode that we will be offering from the Shambhala festival. So it's the last recorded episode from there. And so we'll begin recording new episodes this week for you guys. But this one is still from Shambhala, which is back in February, back at a time when we were allowed to gather and be close to each other. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to think of now, but this is from that time. It's a Lectio Divina on John 14, verses 25 to 27, guided by Ro at Shambhala Festival in northern Thailand. The meditation will have 3 parts. First, Ro will guide you through some exercises to help you find quiet and rest and space in your mind for meditation. Then she will read through the verses a number of times with lots of space in between. And the third part, as you know, is all about processing. So if you're by yourself, pull your journal out or pull your voice recorder out and record what happened for you during the meditation. If you're with others, even if you're just with your family, whoever you're with, maybe pass a talking stick around the circle and hear from each person. Really spend some time listening to each other without correction, without interruption, really listening to each other. Let's begin.
Welcome this morning to Shekina meditation at Shambhala in your Heart Festival. It's really nice to sit with you guys this morning and just have the opportunity to still our bodies and minds and spend some time in meditation. I want to extend a welcome to you guys that you're here together, that we're here together. I believe that the divine is always present everywhere and that we can listen to what the divine might say to us at any time. So this is just one way that we can do that. Our meditation will have 3 parts today. We're going to have some time to have a mindful, aware sensation in our body and our mind. Then we'll spend some time in scriptures from one of the biographies of Jesus written by his best friend. The words that I'll read are words from Jesus that he spoke. I'll read them through a number of times with lots of space and some questions, lots of silence. And just invite you to play with the words and see what stands out to you. Listen out for any special message that might be for you today. And then at the end we'll share a talking circle of our experience. So to begin, let's find a nice tall spine, maybe rising up through the crown of our head, tucking our tailbone gently under to connect with the earth. There's no rules to stay still for the whole meditation, but to begin with, let's find a position that's still, tall, where we can breathe deeply. And let's bring our attention to our breath to begin with. Not changing how we breathe, but just breathing normally and comfortably. Perhaps tracing the path of the breath with our mind. Noticing the sensations of our breath. we might notice the 3-part rhythm of our breath. As we inhale and exhale, a little pause at the bottom of our breath, and then inhaling again. Let's just drop into feeling this rhythm, noticing it. Let's bring our attention as well to other sensations in our body. The feeling of our clothes against our skin, the feeling of the air moving, noticing the places where your body touches the mat or is folded on itself. Maybe you can feel sun on some part of your skin. Noticing any sensations in the body that you can notice. You might also notice parts of your body that are sore or stiff, tired. Just noticing those as well. Feel free to have a little stretch if that feels good, if you might be able to get a little bit more comfort in how you're sitting. We're taking silence and making a quiet space here, but we're in a world of sound. So let's spend a few moments noticing the sounds around us, just letting our attention go to each one for a few moments and passing to the next one. See if you can send your attention to the furthest sound. What's the sound that's the farthest away? And what is the closest sound? If you find any sounds distracting you during the meditation time, let's use them as little alarm bells to send our attention back to our meditation. If we find our mind wandering, let's just use those sounds to bring our attention back. Let's now turn our attention to what's happening inside the sounds and noises of our mind. What's going on in our thoughts and our feelings. If this is an image that works for you, you might like to imagine that you're looking up into the sky and that your thoughts are clouds that are passing by. You're just observing each thought, each cloud as it comes along, noticing it without judgment, being kind to yourself, and then just letting it float by. Any worries or concerns that we have that might come into our mind, we can make them like clouds and let them float by. Let's just take a moment to notice what's happening in our minds this morning, what's occupying our thoughts. Let's just notice those things and then let them float off so that they're not in our field of view anymore. If it works for you, you might like to imagine with your breath on each exhale, just blowing the clouds away, so that eventually all that's left above you is a clear sky. In a moment, we'll turn to the words that we're meditating on this morning. As we turn to these words, listen to these words spoken by Jesus, we might like to make a sign of listening to the divine. Perhaps placing our hands palm up on our knees or open in our lap as a sign of receiving, sign of listening. We create a quiet space of expectation and listen. And the words we'll read today are spoken by Jesus not long before he died, speaking to a small group of his closest friends. It's part of one of the longest sections of Jesus speaking that we have. And this is recorded by his best friend, John. During this first reading, I encourage you to just let the words wash over you and maybe look for a word or a phrase that might stand out to you today. You might like to ask the divine to show you one word or phrase, one idea that's meant for you today. These things I've spoken to you while I'm still with you. But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. During this second reading, I'll read each phrase 2 times and leave a couple of minutes silence in between each one. I invite you to again listen for a phrase or a word that might stand out to you. Perhaps again ask the Divine, what would you say to me today from these words? Or you might just like to let your mind go in imagination. Go down any little alleys that your mind takes you with images, ideas, memories. These things I have spoken to you while I am still with you. These things I have spoken to you while I'm still with you. But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things. But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things. He will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you. He will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. For this next reading, you might like to again ask the Divine, what is it you would say to me through these words today? You might also like to ask, why do I need to hear this today? Why do I need to hear this today? These things I have spoken to you while I am still with you. But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, He will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. I'll read through this passage one more time and then leave some space for your own response towards these words. Perhaps you might like to imagine that you're in the crowd of Jesus' friends listening, and then afterwards perhaps Jesus is in a quiet moment. You have the opportunity to speak to him one-on-one and offer any response or any question towards Jesus after these words. These things I have spoken to you while I am still with you. But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. We're going to begin to move away from this moment with Jesus. Slowly back to the here and now. Beginning to bring this part of our meditation to a close. Take your time coming back. When we're all seated with our eyes open, we'll know that it's time to move on to the next part of our meditation and share in a talking circle together.
Thank you for joining today. There will be a new guided meditation available each week, so don't forget to subscribe to iTunes or sign up for our newsletter to get podcasts delivered to your inbox at www.shekinacommunity.com/podcast newsletter. Also, you can rate or review on iTunes or sign up as a patron at patreon.com/Shekina Meditation Podcast. Have a beautiful week. Many blessings to you.